In the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity, this week has been a roller coaster of shocking revelations and critical threats. An 18-year-old browser flaw exposed billions to potential attacks, Chinese hackers targeted Russian government systems, and a massive leak exposed 2.7 billion personal records. In this digital age, ignorance isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. In the next few minutes, you'll get the critical updates you need to navigate this treacherous cyber landscape. In this video, we'll examine the week's most critical threats and breakthroughs. So, let's get started. Let's kick things off with a bombshell discovery at Oligo Security, where researchers have unearthed an 18-year-old vulnerability that's been hiding in plain sight, affecting every major web browser you have likely used. Dubbed the 0.0.0.0 day, this critical flaw allows malicious websites to bypass all browser security measures, potentially giving attackers unfettered access to your local network. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth did this slip under the radar for nearly 2 decades? The answer lies in the complex world of IP addressing and the lack of standardization in the browser industry. The vulnerability centers around the IP address 0.0.0.0, often used as a placeholder or default address. Attackers can exploit this seemingly innocuous address to interact with services running on your local network. Think about that for a second. Every device on your home or office network, your smart TV, your work laptop, even that fancy new IoT-enabled coffee maker, could potentially be accessed by someone halfway across the world. But how did this slip through the cracks for so long? Interestingly, a bug report from 2006 highlighted this very issue. Despite numerous comments and reprioritizations over the years, the bug remained open, a ticking time bomb in the foundation of our digital lives that exploded recently. Moving on to our next story, we're shifting gears from browsers to blockchain. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts, especially those dabbling in Solana, need to be on high alert. A malicious package masquerading as a legitimate Solana library has been discovered on the Python Package Index, a popular repository for Python developers. The threat actors behind this scheme cleverly exploited a naming discrepancy between GitHub and PyPI. While the legitimate Solana Python API project is known as Solana-py on GitHub, it is simply Solana on PyPI. The slight difference was all the opening these cybercriminals needed. They published a malicious package named Solana-py on PyPI, perfectly positioning their trap for unsuspecting developers. The consequences of falling for this trap could be severe. The malicious package is designed with one primary goal: to steal victims' secrets, including their blockchain wallet keys. Now, let's pivot to a story that highlights the ongoing cat-and-mouse game between tech giants and security researchers. Google's QuickShare, a file transfer tool for Android and Windows, has been found to harbor not 1, not 2, but 10 security flaws that could potentially lead to remote code execution. The researchers from SafeBreach Labs, Or Yair and Shmuel Cohen, dug deep into QuickShare's application layer communication protocol. What they found was a series of vulnerabilities that, when chained together, could allow an attacker to run arbitrary code on Windows systems with QuickShare installed. But we need to worry about more than file transfer tools. A massive malware campaign has been quietly infecting hundreds of thousands of users. This widespread attack has been installing rogue extensions for Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, affecting at least 300,000 users. The campaign works by distributing a Trojan via fake websites that mimic popular software downloads. We're talking about imitations of sites for games like Roblox, streaming platforms like YouTube, and even essential tools like VLC Media Player or KeePass. Once installed, these malicious extensions can range from simple adware that hijacks your searches to sophisticated scripts capable of stealing private data and executing various commands. Now, let's shift gears to a story that's sure to make Office users sit up and take notice. Microsoft has disclosed an unpatched zero-day vulnerability in Office that could lead to unauthorized disclosure of sensitive information. Tracked as CVE 2024-38200, this spoofing flaw affects multiple versions of Office, including Office 2016, Office LTSC 2021, Microsoft 365 apps for Enterprise, and Office 2019. The vulnerability could allow an attacker to host a specifically crafted file on a website, which, if opened by an unsuspecting user, could exploit the vulnerability. While Microsoft has promised a formal patch in its upcoming Patch Tuesday updates, they have already implemented an alternative fix via feature flighting. Speaking of staying vigilant, a series of targeted cyber attacks have been hitting Russian government organizations and IT firms. Dubbed Eastwind, this campaign has been linked to Chinese hacking groups APT31 and APT27. The attacks, which started in late July 2024, employ an updated version of the Cloud Sorcerer backdoor. This isn't just a localized issue. Similar activity has been observed targeting US-based think tanks. It's a sobering reminder that in the world of cyber warfare, geopolitical tensions often play out in the digital realm. Now, brace yourselves for some truly staggering numbers. A massive data leak has exposed nearly 2.7 billion records of personal information for people in the United States. We're talking names, social security numbers, known physical addresses, and possible aliases, all out in the open. The data allegedly comes from National Public Data, a company that collects and sells access to personal data for background checks and other purposes. But it's not just private companies we need to worry about. Even government agencies can fall victim to cyber attacks. The US Justice Department recently dismantled a laptop farm used by undercover North Korean IT workers. These workers were using stolen identities to pose as US citizens and obtain remote work at companies across the United States. The scheme involved a Nashville man who helped the North Korean workers set up the operation, providing housing for company-provided laptops and helping to launder payments. This sophisticated operation generated over $250,000 for each worker between July 2022 and August 2023, with the proceeds allegedly funding North Korea's nuclear weapons program. This case highlights the complex and often unexpected ways that cybercrime can manifest. It's not always about direct hacks or data breaches. Sometimes, it's about exploiting legitimate systems for nefarious purposes. Now, let's talk about a critical issue affecting Cisco users. The company has warned of multiple critical remote code execution 0 days in the web-based management interface of their end-of-life small business SPA 300 and SPA 500 series IP phones. Unfortunately, Cisco hasn't provided fixes or mitigation tips, leaving users with no choice but to upgrade to newer supported models as soon as possible. This situation with Cisco's IP phones underscores a critical point in cybersecurity: the importance of keeping hardware and software up to date. End-of-life products are often left vulnerable to new threats, making them prime targets for cybercriminals. Recently, Microsoft researchers have uncovered several critical vulnerabilities in OpenVPN software. These flaws could allow hackers to remotely execute malicious code and escalate their privileges across various platforms, potentially affecting millions of devices simultaneously. The vulnerabilities, which apply to all releases before OpenVPN 2.6.10 and 2.5.10, were discovered in the communication process between OpenVPN.exe and OpenVPNserve.exe on Windows systems. If exploited, these flaws could lead to system compromise, data breaches, or unauthorized access to classified information. The good news? OpenVPN has released patches for these bugs, but here's the catch. It's up to users to apply these updates. So if you're using OpenVPN, consider this your wake-up call. Update to the latest version as soon as possible to protect yourself from these vulnerabilities. Moving on to the world of artificial intelligence, we have some concerning news about Microsoft's Copilot. Security researcher Michael Bargery dropped a bombshell at the Black Hat USA conference, revealing significant vulnerabilities in this AI assistant that hackers could exploit. Bargery demonstrated how attackers could use prompt injections to perform various cyber attacks through Copilot. We're talking about AI-driven social engineering, data theft, and even the generation of backdoors through Copilot plugins. These backdoors could potentially hide information extractions and enable the creation of highly convincing phishing emails. Perhaps most alarmingly, Bargery showcased a simulation tool called LOL Copilot that helps ethical hackers test these vulnerabilities. While this tool is intended for defensive purposes, it also highlights the potential for misuse in the wrong hands. Switching gears, let's talk about another Cisco vulnerability. This time in their software manager, tracked as CVE 2023-20163. This critical flaw affects a range of Cisco products and stems from incorrect password handling. An attacker exploiting this vulnerability could potentially obtain passwords stored in plain text, a cybersecurity nightmare scenario. Cisco has developed system updates to patch this flaw, but it's crucial for customers to check their exposure status and prioritize the deployment of these solutions. This incident serves as yet another reminder of the importance of prompt patching and regular security audits. Now, let's end on a more positive note with a breakthrough in AI-driven cybersecurity. Researchers from the University of Montreal and Flare Systems have developed a large language model that has achieved an impressive 98% accuracy in extracting critical cyber threat intelligence from dark web forums. This AI model, developed by Vanessa Claroux-Trepanier and Isamae Bouchon, demonstrates the potential for LLMs to summarize and code important threat variables effectively. The implications are significant. We could potentially see AI taking over the role of first-level threat analysts, dramatically improving the efficiency of cybersecurity processes. While this development is exciting, it's important to note that it's not without limitations. The researchers propose further refinement of the model and exploration of advanced AI applications in cybersecurity. This study showcases how AI can be leveraged for real-time, proactive defense against cyber threats, potentially revolutionizing the field of threat intelligence. What do you think about these developments? Are you concerned about any particular threat we discussed? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.